I think again, like there's the things that you do as a boat, but then there's the things that people do as individuals.
Hmm.
And I know that
Hmm.
you're big on recovery, you're big on
Hmm.
nutrition,
Hmm.
you're big on, movements that can help
Hmm.
build the athlete to help, all these different things to, make them a more efficient and more effective rower long term. Like
Yeah.
as you look back, like are there things that you can kind of pinpoint that were a priority, whether it was in that phase or maybe you learned them later on that
Hmm.
helped guide you to your own personal success? And then we can kind of branch that off into maybe what other athletes can start to implement into their own
Yeah.
rowing.
I would say, without getting too high level, like I mean, and you don't really have to go high level with this stuff, is that I didn't get hurt for the first 7.5 years that I rode, like all the way through the Olympics. There were probably two or three of us that slept more than anybody else, and we had the least amount of injury issue. And so the five things that I say, and I like to make them rhyme. It's sleep, drink, eat, move, and think. Right. And so that's just kind of like little ways to kind of think about these categories. Sleep is at the top because it is going to influence everything else so much. Like you could eat the same thing every day and change how you're sleeping, and it will manifest differently in your body, right? The physical and the mental characteristics will change according to your sleep. And it's also something that's easier to track and pay attention to in terms of like, could I go to bed at 15 minutes sooner? Probably. Right. And that actually matters a lot. And I've been very intentional in terms of learning a lot more about these things. It's part of what drove me to grad school and doing a master's in exercise physiology, because I knew these basic things and was like, what really was it? And come to find out, it's sleep. So that's your sleep piece. Drink is hydration, making sure you're staying hydrated. Again, I put those two above nutrition as part of nutrition. And I talk about them in nutrition talks because they're, again, easier to track than all the different parts. There are a lot of different philosophies when it comes to nutrition. And that's why nutrition is third. And I definitely have a lot of personal philosophies for a lot of different reasons about nutrition. But bottom line is make sure that you're eating enough, and that supplements are called supplements for a reason. You must spend most of your time eating a balanced diet every day of the week, all the time, because you spend all of your time being a human and part of the time being an athlete. So if you don't have that baseline fuel down, then the supplements and the protein and all the caffeine and whatever it is that you're doing isn't going to help you. And you're also not learning how to be a healthy human after your career, right? And so you need to be able to take away the positive, healthy benefits that you're learning through your sport to life. And supplements are not what you need to be doing for the rest of your life, right? Sleeping, if you aren't doing that, what are you doing, right? So then from there, so sleep, drink, eat. Move is exercise. It's going to keep you healthy. But more specifically within rowing, I always found that the athletes who moved better, had better mobility, and got injured less, and rowed better, right? So mobility certainly has an impact on your ability to row well and not get hurt. And so, for instance, we always had prehab and posthab that was prescribed, whether you had an injury problem or not. So we had, as a part of our warm up, dynamic exercises and core strengthening and activation. It's not just about the strengthening, but it's the activation in your warm ups that is important, where you're saying, hey, I want to go fast and I want to be stable. I need all of these supplemental muscles that stabilize my joints to wake up and come join me for practice. Like that's a big piece of why you warm up. Cooling down, same thing. Let's reset back to normal, what's called normal resting posture, right? So think about the skeleton hanging in biology lab. He's just like, boop, right? Everything's balanced, everything's good. Rowing, all of our sports pull us out of balance. So we want to work to regain balance. And this doesn't have to take tons of time. I've run junior programs where you have 2 hours in the door, out the door. And even if you have 5 minutes before and after practice to warm up a bit and cool down a bit, all of your strokes are going to be better and you're going to stay healthier in the long run. That last piece is going to be the think, which is everything from telling jokes with your friends, right? Journaling, writing down what you did at practice, but also writing your feelings and things that you learned surrounding that. There were times I guess I do have a stack of, they're back here somewhere. My training logs are in here. I have a stack of training logs. And even in there, I would get so detailed as to like, I had one of those days today. I even stepped in a puddle on the way to the car. Like that's in my training log next to what my heart rate was on a 3x6K workout, like so that's the value of the think piece, because when you write things down, when you have hobbies and ways to decompress from something that's really hard, it helps you bounce back. writing things down is literally a record of all of the things that you've learned along the way. Because believe me, there are times when you feel like your life is over, even on the national team. You're like, I know nothing about this sport. I'm terrible at it. How could I possibly? And then you look at your training log and you go, oh, look where I was 10 days ago. Look what the last 10 days have been. The last 10 days have been fantastic. And I had a bad day today. So it helps you keep things in perspective rather than having what's called a negativity bias. It's natural human tendency. Rather than glomming on to one bad day, it helps you go, okay, there are things that are going well. And that's where kind of recording things allows you to reflect a little bit better on your actual progress. Because again, progress not linear. Or not linear, I should say. But overall, it's linear. It's going to go like this. So even as you improve, you're going to have those days. So it's important to, by tracking things, it helps you think a little bit better in the long run by not getting so bogged down by that one bad day.